Get in, nerds. We are playing Burden of Command. Once again, we are going to go forward until the beginning of the next scenario. That might mean a shorter episode, it might not. We'll see. First, let's aid our men. We had a pretty good frickin' battle today. I see two. I do have two casualties here. We will throw some experienced replacements into that squad. I got a little bit of stress over here. We'll reduce that by spending the loyalty, which we've got quite a bit of. I got plenty of prestige and plenty of loyalty to play with. No, it's not worth it to be throwing loyalty into officers, no matter how good they're doing. Some of these squads are taking heckin' combat fatigue. Again, I don't want to be too aggressive with R&R, particularly given the prestige cost. I do have a lot of loyalty to play with. Actually, you know what I should be doing? Is I should be... Oh, right. No, this doesn't... This costs me prestige. So I shouldn't be doing it too much. On the other hand, getting these two up to 3 orders each would be really, really nice. They're so close, though. They'll get there. They'll get there in the course of the next battle. I'm gonna back off this one. I forgot that for leaders it's only it's 5 prestige. I keep having a hard time. I keep thinking it's really squads I want to be advancing. I wonder if I shouldn't be... I've got a lot of loyalty to play with, so I wonder if I shouldn't be throwing more green recruits in and then guiding squads. Before I go any further, I want to take a quick look at where my captains are. So I've got 5 cunning, 4 professionalism, and 4 discipline, and these 3 are active. Professionalism, less trust, more experience, extra prestige overall. Same barrage, more artillery support. All right, and then discipline is the port on. Yeah, there you go. What's the one that... It's doctrine that gives me extra... lets me throw extra orders downrange. All right, cool. All right, we're good with that. Thompson. Thompson's got 3 cunning, 4 idealism, and 1 each doctrine and compassion. I don't know that... I would like to get his compassion up, because that just feels in character for him. Alright, so, but he does have cunning, and then he's got idealism, which I've used once before. Rouse maxed out on discipline, and he's got 1 each professionalism and cunning, which, you know, not my best work, to be completely honest. I'd like to have at least one of those other ones active, but that's alright. Dearborn's got 3 discipline and 2 each professionalism and cunning, so he's built pretty similar to Rao, all things considered. So maybe hitting the cunning button at some point next time I get a crisis would be nice. And then Stern's got 3 professionalism, 3 idealism, and then 1 each zeal and cunning, which is alright. Again, cunning is much less good for Stern, but situationally it could be really strong. So, you know, we'll see. Alright. I don't want to get too aggressive about spending prestige. So I think we'll leave things where they are. Stern and Thompson are both very close to getting the prestige they need to level up, and Rao's getting there as well. So I think that's all I want for now. Yeah, I'm just looking at these. These are the ones I tend to go for more. Alright. Should be good. Alright, that's a... that's... If I go back on this... If I give them Repo Depot and then guide them... That's actually maybe better, although it does mean they'll start one order short. Next battle. It's spending 2 loyalty to save 1 prestige. That just doesn't seem worth it. No, we're not going to do that. I'm just gonna put experience. It doesn't. I think it's. I think it's a little cheesy to do it that way. Frankly, I think it's. It makes sense, but it's a little bit. It's a little gamey. I think you would want to put experienced replacements into the squad. Anyway, that's the aid the men screen. Let's continue our journey. We use highly detailed, empirically based armor modeling based on Panzer War miniatures rules to ruin your day. And we, the players, appreciate it. So the Vosges was interesting. It was very similar, I think, in structure to a city fight. Dense cover all around, moving slowly. Not as dense as a city fight, but it was similar to that, and I feel like I've done well overall. Strasbourg. All right, here we go. 3rd February, 1945. Snow. All right, this is going to be some real slow going. Oh boy, look at this frickin' map.
Southward along the 450-mile front, the 7th Army was moving out of the Vosges passes toward the towns of Saales and Colmar. This is Saales, cleared of enemy troops on 5th December after 3.5 days of bitter fighting on the Alsatian plain. The advance envelops the town of Oberhofen, a mile north of Bischoffer and about 4 miles southeast of Ogno. Prisoners are seized en route. Self-propelled 105mm howitzers spearhead the attack.
November 1944, France. In motion. A very long month. A crack of gunfire echoes as you lead the way down the main street of Saales. K Company has hammered the Germans out of position before the town can burn. And now we liberate. K Company had its act together. This worked this time. Tactics have improved, or perhaps better improvised. The Germans here are either dead or marching into prisoner camps. Once the firing dies down, the locals gather along the street to watch that disheveled column of field gray figures march by in the pouring rain. But the snatches of French you hear sound awfully anxious between the raindrops. I understand anger, but this doesn't feel like a liberation. Alsace, Alsace, Alsace. This doesn't feel like a liberation. No wine, no cheers, for Sergeant Grant grumbles. Hell, I missed the Champagne campaign already. Saales was the local Gestapo headquarters, Murray Ringenbach explains as she walks with your command group. And Gestapo means cruelty. French politics incoming. I think saying this one out loud would be a sarcasm boost, but it isn't. Gestapo means cruelty. Those who collaborated must be worried, Grant remarks sourly, and now they'll bow and scrape and pretend they were working against the Krauts all along. Saw plenty of that in Italy. They can't hide forever, Murray replies with an edge of cold satisfaction. No doubt a few Gestapo informants and confidants will find themselves facing a firing squad by the end of the day. It's the least traitors deserve. Your country, your laws. Don't they at least deserve a trial? So, I am an American fighting a war in French territory. I'm not going to say it's the least traitors deserve. That's like such an extreme uh, line to take. Um, Obviously, I'm not I think this is different than your field chicanery. I'm just gonna say your country, your laws. This is not a question for me right now. If someone appoints me a district overseer, a district governor, that it will be my business. But until that happens, I'm not going to. I'm not going to weigh in on this. I think I don't like. I don't know that my character's got a strong opinion on this, apart from that, like, he's glad it's not his problem. Your country, your laws. It hasn't always been, Marie reminds you. Alsace spent more of the last 100 years being German than being French. There are plenty here who can sing Heil dem Siegerkranz better than La Marseillaise. To them, we're the foreign invaders. A point, Lieutenant Dearborn muses. Much of this land was German up until the 17th century, when Louis XIV added it to his kingdom through force of arms. Why, there may still be Germans who feel an ancestral right to this land, just as, say, the Plains Indians may consider themselves rightful owners of South Dakota or Iowa. Nearby, Thompson silently debates interjecting something. That's funny. I always say Louis XIV. I feel like you can say whoever the whatever for most kings in various places, but I feel like Louis XIV was important enough that I would always say his number in French. Hey, get your hands off her! A deep voice, one you know, echoes down the street ahead. You hurry around the corner to see Sergeant Crosley, with soldiers squared and BAR aimed at a crowd of locals who look mad as hell. They cry out in naked malice, not at Crossley, but at the young woman in a torn coat who shelters in his lee. She looks no more than 19. I said leave her alone, you hear? Crossley bellows, but they yell back in thick Alsatian accents, muddled by rage. Only the muzzle of the Cottonbalers' automatic rifle keeps the human tide at bay, for now. Jesus Christ, Grant mutters under his breath. What kind of trouble have you gotten yourself into now, you dumb ox? This could be a job for an officer or one stalwart sergeant. Let's find out what's going on, investigate further, risk prestige and trust. Have Crossley stand down and don't get involved. Have battalion deal with this. Skip this event, risk prestige and trust, or walk away. This is a French matter, completely skip this event. Well, I said I wasn't going to get involved, but also, I'm not going to just ignore narrative. I'm going to investigate further. Crossley stiffens when he sees you approaching. Captain, I can explain. The crowd turns toward you. They might not understand what Crossley is saying, but they sure as hell understand the salute he sends your way, not to mention the firepower you and your staff carry. I didn't mean to cause trouble, Captain, your BAR man insists, but these people were attacking this poor girl. Someone in the crowd shouts something dark. A dam breaks. A torrent of voices rise again. Despite the accents and strain, you pick out the words putain and salope more than once. Ugh. Marie turns to you, her eyes tight with worry. Your sergeant may have, as they say, hit a rake. Oh, what a great. I'm glad she knows about stepping on a rake and smashing your face with it. That's very good. I'm very pleased. They're saying she is a collaborator, a, quote, German's whore, unquote. The young woman in question shouts something back and blinks back tears. She doesn't deny it, Marie says gravely. She claims she was in love and the others have no right to judge her. Under other circumstances, I'd agree. I've done my share of foolish things at her age, too, but, she tilts her head towards the crowd, that isn't likely to change their minds. The young woman remains defiant as she shouts to be heard above the crowd as men and women edge forward with knives and shears in hand. I want details. What exactly did she do? I'm putting her under my protection. End this event, risk prestige and trust. Give these people their justice, risk prestige and trust. I want details. What exactly did she do? Marie translates your question to the crowd. A barrage of angry voices reply with insults. The young woman answers. The street devolves into chaos of accusations, counter-accusations, and Marie's pleas for calm are drowned out in the tumult. Well, that wasn't very well done of me. The high-pitched tweet of a whistle cuts through the tumult. Ça suffit! A voice bellows, and the uneasy crowd parts to reveal a slim man with a push-broom mustache, dressed in a kepi and in a dark blue coat. A whistle rests in one gloved hand. Ça suffit means that's enough. He touches the brim of his kepi as he heads toward you. Alois Eberard, Brigadier de Police. De Police, he says in accented but serviceable English. Now, would you explain to me what you are doing? Eberhard, that's a German name, ain't it? I was waiting for the proper authorities. Sergeant Crosley found this young lady being attacked. This man's a police officer. I'm not going to throw this one out. Again, This is Alsace. Like, there's a lot of German names and a lot of German blood in Alsace. Sergeant Crossley found this woman being attacked. Eberhard peers over your shoulder at the young woman. He frowns. She glares. They know each other. Her name is Anneliese Charlotte Levesque. He tells you in grave tones, like a doleful bell. She is 19. Some years ago, she became involved with a German soldier. This was no secret. If you have questions, I will translate. Okay. Ask her about this German soldier. Was the occupation that bad? What's she afraid of here? What's she afraid of here? What are they going to do? The obvious, Everard suggests. The Maquisard will round up collaborators and have them shot without trial, though, he glances toward Marie at your side, perhaps that is not always true. We've shot many who joined the Nazi order police, Marie says coldly. We save rounds for those who've informed on us to the Gestapo. Sometimes we beat those who spread Nazi lies. And girls who sleep with German soldiers? Grant asks. What about them? Les citoyens decide, Marie says as the mob seethes. They may beat her, shave her hair, or exile her. I've heard that some have been raped repeatedly, she adds disgustedly. That is wrong, but some think them a whore already, and sometimes they don't survive. If true, most regrettable, Everard replies and gives a little gulp. But if they were willing to dishonor themselves and their country so intimately, surely they deserve some punishment. Anyone who worked with the Germans, it should not be this excessive. Try mob justice, get military justice. Oh boy. So, it's not a zero factor here to my thinking that 4.5 years ago, when this area was taken over by Germany, she would have been 15. I don't know if the relationship, such as it was, began before she began when she was a minor or not. I don't know that we have that information. Uh, it doesn't sound like she worked with the Germans. Like it sounds like th- this sounds like a case of fraternization, and I don't know that I would necessarily agree that should be punishable with a degree of violence for civilians. Like again, I am not comfortable with this becoming some kind of violence. Uh, Also, like I don't. Given the way German soldiers comported themselves in France, well, she said she was in love with him, but like, I mean, you know how these things go. Anyone who worked with the Germans shouldn't be this. Try military justice. Uh, I'm not going to say military justice. We're we're not the law. We, the American Armed Forces, are not the law here. It shouldn't be this excessive. I agree, Everard answers, but I'm not the one you must reckon with at this moment. But if a girl sleeps with a boy who happens to wear a German uniform, she deserves what's coming to her. Is that it? Marie asks with a bitter tang to the question. What about shopkeepers who sold goods? Thank you. Okay. What about shopkeepers who sold goods to Nazi officers or policemen who upheld Nazi laws? What about nurses or doctors? What about nurses or doctors, Brigadier de Police? Everett returns her questions with a look of frustration tinged with shame. The crowd stirs. There are questions thrown at everyone here. The people are uncertain, Eberhard explains. This will not last. Ask her about this German soldier. Eberhard translates your question. The young woman speaks slowly at first, and then the words continue to flow until they tumble out in a tearful avalanche. She says they met 3 years past. Okay, so she was 16 at that time. They both enjoyed hiking and bird watching. They grew intimate. Then he was transferred to a unit further west, the 198th Division. They've exchanged letters, but those ceased arriving some months ago. She fears for him. Grant leans towards you. The 189th? That was one of the units we lit up at Mont-Lamar. They shoot it in the valley. Lots of artillery and a stalled German column. The girl's fears are probably justified. Cool. Well, I mean, that is what it is. If Eberhard heard your exchange, he doesn't comment on it. Instead, he shakes his head sadly. I'm afraid the matter is quite clear. Anyone who gives aid or comfort to the enemy of la patrie, the fatherland, is a collaborator, and she has done more than that. I'm not going to say this. So have you. I did keep public order and do my duty to the people of this town, Eberhard replies stiffly. It does not matter whose flag hangs from the mast. The law is the law, and a criminal is a criminal. But again, this woman isn't a criminal. And when the law is written by criminals, Murray asks with a hint of suspicion, my colleagues kept lists, both of police officers who found ways to fight back against the Nazis and those who simply did what they were told, even if it meant preying on their own countrymen. I wonder which list you are on, Brigadier de Police. This is beside the point, Eberhard deflects abruptly. I am not the one facing judgment here. It is best we focus on the one who is, yes? The crowd grows restless. Their voices rise steadily toward a shout. They have nearly lost patience. I know the occupation was that bad. I've heard enough. The young woman looks to you. You're not going to let him have her, are you, Captain? She's guilty. Stand down. Let the crowd have her. Risk prestige and trust. No, I'm not. Keep her safe. Risk prestige and trust. No, I'm not. Your opinion doesn't change the facts, Eberhard reminds you. She may not be the only one in this town or even on this street, but the fact remains she is an unrepentant collaborator. You're all collaborators, then give her real justice, not mob justice, or she comes with me, out of my way. Then give her real justice, not mob justice. Eberhard's expression hardens. And who are you to decide what justice is? He demands angrily. This is not your country, these are not your people. If you wish to be the one who passes judgment, do so. I wash my hands of this whole sorry affair. With that, he turns on his heel and walks away. The crowd's fury redoubles the second the policeman disappears. Cobblestones are pried from the streets. Throats go raw from angry screams. The crowd says they want justice, Captain, Murray remarks, because someone has to state the obvious. Crosley and Grant look to you for orders. Oh, boy. So, my two options are stand down, let the crowd have the girl, or drive the crowd off with warning shots. I do not want my men shooting at the French. With that having been said, I am not just going to let them have her. So driving the crowd away with gunshots is an escalation and an extreme one. I I I don't have the option I might go for here, which is I think shaving the head sounds at least like something close to fair. I would I would pick someone out of the crowd with a pair of shears and say, "You come up here. Everyone else stay back. You do the thing and then be done." Is what I would do. And again, I realize that's me taking control of the situation, but obviously this police officer has said he's washed his hands of it, which is not good. Um, I think in the situation, I would say I would attempt to impose as light a punishment as I could, given the outcome here. Like hair grows back, like it sucks, but also like again, we are talking about something that like this relationship started when she was 16, so like I'm not going I don't know to what extent I feel comfortable with holding her criminally responsible in any way. Ugh. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm getting battle fatigue here. Luke, I'm getting battle fatigue. Help. Luke is the guy who mostly made this game. I don't think he was. I don't think he did most of the writing, but the writing was done by other people. But I'm gonna complain to him because he's the person I mostly see as the face of Burden of Command. Oh, I hope this doesn't go bad. I'm going to drive the crowd off with some warning shots. Your carbine meets your shoulder with practiced ease. You aim high, well above the crowd. Crack, crack, crack. The mob recoils. Crosley mirrors your maneuver with the roar of his automatic rifle, and the roar of his automatic rifle sends the crowd into screaming panic. They flee in all directions, good and bad. Crosley lowers his still smoking weapon. Behind him, the young woman sinks to her knees and begins to shake violently. Marie steps to her side. Her words are lost in the remains of the chaos. Just nerves. They didn't get a chance to hurt her, Marie says to you. Best we take her home. And home is close by. The young woman even manages to stammer out something that sounds like a thank you before she disappears through the doorway. Crosley shakes his head as she vanishes. I'm real sorry things turned out to be the way they did, Captain. I didn't mean to start trouble, but I'm glad you showed up when you did. Things could have got a lot worse. Prestige -2. Battalion, of course, disagrees. I don't know how you could have done any worse, Captain, Major Rathburn says, his tone so flat you could skate on it. What the hell were you thinking, firing live rounds like that? Perhaps you've forgotten, but the French are our allies. You're a damn good company commander, which is why I expected better. Do not become a liability to this battalion the next time you decide to play the knight in shining armor. Understood? That could have been worse. Yes, sir. Accused of being a white knight by my own CO. Make damn well sure you do, Captain, the Major replies tautly. In the meantime, back to business. King Company ran into an 88 on the other side of the town, and I want to make sure that there aren't any more hiding in an alley somewhere. We move out in an hour. Dismissed. Back to killing Nazis, back to protecting the French, back to my men. back to the men. That was a hell of a thing you did earlier, Captain, Grant remarks at sundown as the two of you firmly get a chance to dig into another sad meal of sea rations and rainwater. You did a lot of good. It was the right thing to do. Idealism. I got sidetracked into being a judge. Advanced zeal. Don't want to do that. Wasn't one of my better plans. Combat fatigue -10. Battalion doesn't think so. Advanced professionalism. I was out of line, so was Crosley. Advanced discipline. Oh. Oh, man. I'm just going to go with it wasn't one of my better plans. I'm doing pretty well on professionalism, and, well, I could get professionalism or discipline up to max, which would be nice. But I love this as an answer so much. Just like, it wasn't great. So I'm gonna go with it. And combat fatigue -10 is really good. Wasn't one of my better plans. There are foxes who would disagree, Grant admits and grins. When Crosley made his call, you had his back. He points across the street to where Sergeant Crosley regales replacements about your little adventure. By tomorrow, every man in this company will know that if they make a tough decision, you'll support them. The Army's grapevine is now your personal ad firm. Gestured his watch. This is why I trust him. This isn't a popularity contest. This is why I trust him. Grant checks his watch, a liberated German piece, which is far more accurate than anything standard issue. Time to dig in, Captain, he notes, and sets aside his half-filled ration, no doubt for some kids to find. I'll get the men formed up. And so it goes. The tricolor of the French Republic flutters proudly from the spire of Strasbourg Cathedral as your men march past the great church's shadow. The 2nd French Armored Division had taken the city the day before. By the time your battalion reached the city outskirts, the fighting had already been long over. Visit Strasbourg, extended scene, possible prestige, trust, or loyalty changes. Or this isn't Rome, prestige -1, skip this scene. You know, we're at about half an hour, and that was a stressful episode. So, I'm gonna go ahead and call it here, and we'll do the next scene, next episode. Oh, that was a really hard, a really stressful situation. With that said, that's the burden of command for you. That's what the game's about. Making tough decisions and standing by them even when no matter how they turn out. So despite all that, I've had a good time. I hope you all have as well, and I will see you on the other side.